Lovely. Welcome everybody to another installment of Rec Tech Talk. I'm your host, John from Starting Recruitment. This week we have Liam from Allsorter. So Liam, you'll do it much more justice than me. If you could give us a quick intro to yourself and to Allsorter and focus really on the core problem that you decided or your company decided to solve.
Hi, John. Thank you so much for having me on today. It's a pleasure to be here. So Liam Cosgrove here from Allsorter. I'm heading up the team here in APAC. Nice. I came on board here around 9 months ago, so it's been quite an exciting journey. And what Allsorter is here to help in the recruitment market is to format resumes. So what we're able to do is format resumes faster than you were doing it before. We know it's a huge pain in the time that is spent doing that, either in Teams, if it's an office admin, you're offshoring it, all the multitude of issues that come through. We're able to allow you to have full control of that process, do it faster, do this to your custom template so that your team can focus on key activities and not get stuck up with the laborious task of actually formatting resumes.
Yeah, remove admin, I feel, is one of the key things that everybody discusses when they come on this show. And it's, you know, why I love tech as well. We're recruiters, not admin staff. So how did you come to Allsorter? What's your background? Were you in recruitment, sales? Give us a bit of a run through.
Yeah, a bit of an interesting journey working with another vendor within the recruitment sector. I was at JobAdder for many years.
Yeah, nice.
Unfortunately, was made redundant during the COVID cut-off period. And I've been working with a multitude of vendors here in Australia and globally as well. So I was having a look around at what technology is really solving a problem.
Nice.
What's changing something in the environment? What's new? Allsorter really paved the way for me of something that is not there currently.
Yeah.
Everyone is actually looking to change that process. So I knew there was lots of work to be done, new missions to be created, and really carve the way to the way that we now manage formatting resumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I was really inspired to be part of a new technology rather than something that was already existing. There's lots of vendors out there doing the same thing. Try something new. And we know that the recruitment market needs this process of formatting resumes.
Yeah, and it is very, very new. And I can imagine a big part of your job is just educating people on what the product does. So which is probably kind of a good segue to how did it come to be? So what's the creation story? Was the founder a recruiter who was sick of formatting resumes, or how did it begin?
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one. So my CEO, Declan Murphy, based over in Dublin. So the head office is over there. And he really came up with the issue because there was an inability of quality candidates that was being sent through to him when he was doing his hiring as a CFO.
Right.
He couldn't actually understand and differentiate between them. So he was almost he's the end customer to this recruitment journey.
That's a really good way of doing things from podcasts that I've listened to and speaking with people. So he had a problem that he was receiving from recruiters. Interesting, very interesting.
Really interesting loop back around to the vendor himself. But
nice.
He had the issue of different candidates coming through, couldn't quite select them, couldn't understand them. And when he was actually looking for a new job himself, he understood that his resume was going in a black hole of an application tracking system somewhere. Where was his resume actually going? And why wasn't he getting another job? And that's where he really came around to say, this is a big problem, as with every technology, every vendor is to remove a problem or change a process, speed it up or save time, whatever that might look like. He then realized that he needs to go and change this. So that's what it was born out of. He then, obviously being a CFO, so he's the money man, didn't know anything about technology at this time. So he was speaking with the university PhD students.
Nice.
So the foundation of our product is actually an AI technology. Or natural language processing, as we say, AI doesn't actually exist.
Actually, yeah, good. I'm glad we've had this discussion many, many times. Yeah, nice.
I mean, it's a whole thing to go and debug what that looks like, and we could talk a lot longer on that. But really, our tool and the fundamentals of it is built on machine learning.
Nice.
And all of this is to help with the heavy lifting of formatting resumes. So we do the heavy lifting for you. We're doing most of the formatting and structure, so you only have to go through and tidy it up. So the machine is doing the work for you. We're not eradicating the human experience. In fact, we're relying on more human input to go and review this, and really so the human can go and continue to do the jobs that they love, i.e. speaking with their with their customers, with their candidates, and focusing on that part.
So just an interesting point that you touched on there, and I know any recruitment agency would be your ideal customer, but does your product lend itself to people doing more bulk and volume recruitment who are able to automate, if they're getting out 100 labor hires across a couple of different companies? And does it work for, people doing niche specific roles? Where does it sit within that kind of the two spectrums of recruitment as I see it?
Yeah, no, definitely the blue and white collar there. Typically our customers are white collar.
Nice.
Looking at the sort of more professional resumes and how they
are
taking a little bit more time and consideration. And that's what we'll focus on today, of the reformatting of a resume to your custom template. And that's typically what people are looking for. But the blue collar space is really exciting. So we're actually developing a tool at the moment where we're able to preserve the original, keep the original content, and actually just add your cover page on there and strip contact information all at the click of a button. So this is going to be a huge one for the blue collar teams. Speed is obviously the most important.
That's it. And you touched on a great point there. It is the difference between, certain roles probably don't need a very pristine resume formatted, but they do need the logo, the cover sheet, all the good information on it. And then, so that's a new interesting tool that's coming on. I wasn't aware of that. Awesome.
And you mentioned with the logo, just to add there.
Yeah.
The resume that you're sending out to your customers, this is your brand, and this is actually a branding exercise as well, to be able to show off, this is how slick your company is, this is how we present our candidates, and it's always in this structure and format. So I've been speaking to some businesses, and they're actually leaning on the marketing teams to drum up some budget for using a tool like Allsorter.
Right. Okay. So looking at, I know everything that I send out, my references, my CVs, they come with video and whatnot, but my brand and logo is probably saturated just everywhere. And I feel it does help. So would you say that moving forward, it's a brand piece as well as, just an automation tool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
And something I always say to our customers is, this is a chance to ensure that your template they already have in place is looking really professional. It's sexy. It speaks about your business and speaks about that candidate, because you're trying to get them the job. You're trying to get them through to that next stage. And when you have got a well-presented resume, it's going to be easier for your customers to understand when they can compare even the short list of candidates that you've sent through. They're more likely to choose those than your competitor. So you just make that journey easier.
I was just thinking of it from the perspective of a hiring manager. And if you're seeing candidates all presented well, one logo, you're going to create kind of a emotional connection to that recruitment agency, compared to going, okay, who have we hired? Let's go back, which recruiter sent that, pay the fee. It's just going to have that top of mind awareness, which is really important in marketing. Interesting. Okay. I'm learning on the call. I love it. I feel the best way for people to always see this product is for you to share your screen, run us through a few of the key elements that people might not be aware of and what most of your customers really love.
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen with you here. And I'm going to be on a different monitor, so if you see me looking up, that's where I'm switching to.
I always do that. I've got a second monitor there, and I'm always looking over, and people think that I'm losing attention. And so, no, just getting more information.
No, just key productivity.
Yeah, that old chestnut.
Before we jump into here, I just wanted to really elaborate on what happens to actually get to this stage. So we work with a couple of the top ATSs here in Australia, namely JobAdder and Bullhorn. So we've got beautiful integrations with them. We're at a click of the button, You can bring across the candidate's resume. We can also include additional information from the candidate record from those ATS systems and populate that in the cover sheet that we also create. And I'll show us a little bit how we do that as well.
Yeah, cool. Just on that, because a lot of people are always interested in integrations. How would that look? Would it be I don't know Bullhorn that well, I know JobAdder quite well. Would it be a case of selecting the candidate and just going one click, Allsorter pulls all the information through, ready to go?
Absolutely, spot on.
Nice.
In the same way that you would have other integrations set up in JobAdder and in Bullhorn, there's usually an area or a button. It responds in exactly that same way.
Nice.
So really simple. You're going to go and shortlist your candidates. You're going to go select those 3 candidates from the job, open up those records, and then you can run through the Allsorter process. The idea is that instead of spending, industry standard is around 20 minutes or so. We're going to bring this down to around 5 minutes. So
wow, nice.
By how many candidates that you're working with or how many resumes that you're shortlisting, you can start to then see the ROI. And a question that's often asked is, when does this become relevant for me as a tool? If you're spending around 2 hours a week formatting resumes as a tool across your business, that's where we can begin to help. So even with 1 users, typically we're working with those sort of 5 to 10 users and above those as well. Obviously, the larger organization, the more relevant it is to refine a process.
Yeah.
So those are the typical customers that we're starting to work on. I'm sure that's one of your questions later.
It is, yeah.
I'll take us through briefly Allsorter. I don't want to take us through here and spend too much time, but the idea is it's quite a simple tool to understand. There are some nuances to it as well, but today we'll sort of have a quick look.
Yeah.
We're going to extract data from a PDF or a Word document. And I know we know PDFs are usually the trickier ones. Are we going to spend managing that information? So
okay, that's really interesting. So because I know like a few of the softwares that I use, not for this, but I can only upload a PDF or a Word document, and I've actually just copped a Adobe license so that I can edit within PDF. A cheap one, I won't say it on this, but and okay, so you can upload whichever document and then edit it and then save it as whichever document file you want to.
It's going to download always as a Word document. But you can
and save that as a PDF. Yeah, cool.
When we import it back into your ATS, it will be as a Word. We've also got the ability at that point to change the file name. So let's just say, in my example, when it's just called Liam Cosgrove resume, we might want to call it start in recruitment -date resume, whatever you would like to.
Don't give that candidate name away. Yeah, nice.
So you can send it directly on to your team. So
cool.
What we have over here is the Allsorter UI. So this is what every customer will see. Now, what we have on the left-hand side is the original resume content. So it's on PDF or Word. It's now going to display here in raw HTML. So it might look slightly differently in the way that it's prescribed, but the idea is the raw data is there. We've removed any images because it's a natural language processing tool. We're only focusing on the words. So that's going to be extracted here. So I always start by having a quick scroll down to have a look at the resume. Now, this is my own resume, so it's fine if it's being shared online.
Yeah.
We can see there's a few areas highlighted in blue. So what blue means is we're doing a gap analysis. We're showing what data has not been brought across over to the right-hand side, which I'll get a little bit more into.
Right, okay, yeah.
Information has not been brought across. And we've just said, hey, this is what we're going to highlight in blue because we don't believe this word belongs into the structure that we have over here. So the words things like profile, work experience, these sort of titles, they're never going to be brought across because we've already got titles within your template and your structure.
Man, okay, cool. So sorry to interrupt there. I just love this stuff, as you know. So is that based on lots of language learning and knowing the machine knowing that that's not going to be relevant whatsoever from just having lots of profiles uploaded into the system?
Yeah, exactly. So
cool.
We've ran through around 10,000 resumes in the past 6 months.
Yeah, crazy.
We're feeding our machine the smart getting and improving. So it's actually adapting and becoming more advanced all of the time. This is across every industry. What we have at the moment is a data extraction of 94% accuracy. This
crazy.
is using 5 different parsers. So those aggregated information on top of what the NLP, the natural language processing tool, are able to then create really, really accurate information. Now, it's not 100% perfect, and that's where the human comes into it now, and I'll show you what that looks like. But the idea is that's why we understand certain languages. It's queried within a database in the background. And this is all done at the click of the button when you open this file up. So that's already happened in the background. All the work has been completed by us. We now, as the human, come in to review and check this information. This is where I say
I would say that 94% accuracy is better than a lot of recruiters I've worked with, and much better than myself as well. That's amazing.
Yeah, and typically what you'll see with a parser by itself, so I won't speak to any names of them, but different businesses will use different parsers. One parser by itself is around low 70s in accuracy.
Okay.
And that's what's used to create the candidate record from a job board that comes into your ATS. So it's really quite unique what we have here in the quality and range that we can complete. So I won't spend too much time on this because I'm conscious on spending too long on a demo.
Yeah.
You can see at the top here, we've got contact information. We have a summary of that candidate. We have skills, education, and experience. So those are those 5 sections, 5 parsers, because each parser is better quality at each area.
Yeah.
You can see here that you might say, well, we can see the name, great, contact information, and email. We've got no information for the location, so we haven't been able to extract it, but we do try and bring that across. Email address, great, I've got the email address for Liam, but I don't actually want to bring his email across. Do I have to go in and delete it and change it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Nice.
In your final template, if you haven't selected in your template, now you might have this across different industries for a larger business, or for a business like yourself, John, you might just have starting there for your template. You'll just select your template, and we'll have a look at the final version in a second. But if you haven't stipulated a field for email address, then it's not going to be brought across. There's no need to make any amendments.
Nice. Okay, so you can have it, and again, probably job out of specific, but you can have it as the cover letter and then the formatted cover letter without the information, without the candidate's name, like you said. So that, cool, very nice. That would save a lot of time as well, having to save multiple files. And
so really, really handy to grab that there.
Yeah.
We've got the summary section. Now we're always going to populate a summary because we want to summarize a candidate most of the time. We can amend or change any of this information here. I'm an optimistic, enthusiastic channel partner. I'm not that anymore. I've moved on from that last role, but I might want to highlight that piece of text.
Yeah.
I've also got the ability here, because imagine you've got big bits of text, you might want to split those up. I've got the ability to do an auto bullet. So I can select that and it'll create bullet points wherever there's full stops there. Maybe I want to just change the data and display it like that. So really, really handy as a recruiter to just save some time.
And only that one little section as well.
Yeah, so that would save, and I'll click save, and then that will pull through as bullet points, and we'll have a look at that.
I'm thinking back to when I used to be in tech recruitment, or everyone would just pop up and we had one good person in the office who'd format CVs, because it's like change one tiny little thing on Word and the whole thing's just absolutely ruined.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
And the time that you spend in Word, or as you mentioned, Adobe, fiddling around, and you move something here, you move the margin or the structure.
Margins, mate, kill me. Yeah.
So that's all going to be structured in the template.
Cool.
One thing I will pick up on here is the skills. So I have got a little skills section in my resume.
Yeah.
You might notice in other people they've got skills or they don't have skills. We know.
Yeah.
In all shapes and sizes, much like their candidates. They're all unique. The idea is, how can we translate that into one template? And that's what we're doing here. So we always look to try and bring across their professional computer language and soft skills. And you can see what those have been highlighted here. Now I could go through and edit and change any of those if I need to. And we've got the education.
So if someone doesn't have the skills section on their CV, would that pull through from different areas? Would you enter it manually yourself like you just showed? How would that work?
So this has been brought across automatically. So the system has read the whole of the resume.
Nice.
So I haven't actually highlighted anywhere the word English, but it understands that my language skills is English. My soft skills, you can see I've only got these highlighted, but it's picked up that enthusiastic channel partner manager. So it can see that those keywords, those softer skill words are used.
Cool.
Optimistic, create analytical thinker. All these types of skills have been picked up.
And that's pulled that from your CV in different areas and put it together.
Yes.
That's crazy. Nice.
Analytical thinker is there in my summary section. So it's brought that through. So it's really smart and be able to do the heavy lifting. The idea is
Yeah,
you want to save time and also create a more richer data set. When
definitely. Yeah,
to any of your ATSs, you can actually do much better Boolean searching on the way that we've then structured the data. So the longer-winded parts of this is those shortlisted candidates that go back in. Only one of them's got the job, hopefully. Those other 2 or 3, they've now got richer data sets within your ATS. When you Boolean search next time for that next role, they're actually going to come up and be hit.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that. And as well, if they're already done, that candidate might go out to 5 different roles over the course of a year. If you've done one, you've saved all that time of re-editing it. But being able to find a candidate in a database is one of the big probably issues that I speak with about a lot of recruitment directors. And I think Greg Savage put up something about cost associated, and I'm bad for it. You just put up more ads. You spend more money on advertising. So that's a really good point that I hadn't thought that your product provided. I love that.
The conversation around a certain job board that's having issues, and people are beginning to try and say, well, how can we boycott this? How can we move away from these high costs? Use your candidate database. That's the gold mine. Chip into it. Understand that. Well, how do I chip into it? Actually, by creating this data slowly over time, making a stronger data set in there. And I talk about data because at the back end of this, we're a data company. As a vendor, of course, what we're doing at the end of this is showing a really sleek resume, but how can we enrich the process for a recruiter, not only at producing the formatted resume, but going back to search for the job in the future?
Definitely. I love that. That's cool.
That's pretty smart. So we've got the education section. We can see those key fields here, the data chronologically. We can amend and change any of this data here. We've got the experience section laid out. Again, we can make any amendments. We then have custom sections as well at the bottom, because each recruiting agency is different. Every industry is different. So we might want to have slightly different information. Now, this is a manual input because our system is looking for this based on those 5 parsers. Now, this could be, and I noticed here at the bottom, my hobbies and interests isn't brought across. Boo-hoo. I don't see anyone using hobbies and interests. But for this example, maybe you've got hobbies and interests and you might want to include that here, but you can see we're automatically not bringing that information across.
Nice.
Highlighted in blue. But if you wanted to bring some of this across, you could think that's relevant to include in the summary section. You've got the option to do that here. And we've said, hey, recruiter, check this out. Do you need to use it? You can make that choice as the human part there.
Yeah, especially if your hiring manager, maybe like yours has cycling, surfing. If you've got a hiring manager, because people hire similar people, as we know, that's really relevant. But a lot of the time, the hobbies aren't that relevant. So having that highlighted in blue is really cool.
Yeah, and again, as you said, that's down to you as the recruiter. That's your job. We can't magically think that up for you. So that's where you can become and help you excel in your role. And that's just a small change there.
I find the best bits of recruitment tech are definitely combining a lot of automation, a lot of simplicity. But if you can't, as everyone says, you can't automate the whole job of recruitment consultant. So you do need those little elements in there. So I like how you've structured that to take the bulk of the work out, but still needs that human touch in there.
Let us do the work, and you can continue on your job and be the human. The other part there is that we have just clicked here to cover sheet.
Oh, nice.
First page, typically where we might want to put key information like notice period, last role, reason for leaving, whatever that information might be, consultant summary notes.
Are they changeable?
Oh, absolutely. This is everything you see here is on this page is customizable.
Cool.
Defined by you as the agency. And also you've got the ability to extract some information from your ATS. So for example, consultant summary notes, because it's best practice, you're putting those notes into your ATS. Now they might
no way.
But you can extract that automatically and maybe tidy it up here so it looks really slick before you present. You're putting that in an email or somewhere else and it's getting lost to your customer. It's all tidied up in one place.
And that will just pull from the ATS the notes that you've made. Cool. Very slick. I love it.
So I hope we really, do the heavy lifting so you can really focus on the key parts and tidy that up. So
Nice.
starting recruitment, that's the template I'm going to select. As I said, this could be by industry. You can have multiple templates.
Yeah.
It's a customizable template that you've created or you sent over to me or our team, and we go and develop that for you.
Nice.
We work very closely with your team to ensure that it looks exactly like you want it to have, the right margins, as we know, all those sorts of bits of information.
Oh, and that's really good if a business is working across many different industries, because then that HR constantly sees the brand. Yeah, nice, cool.
So we've got your big logo on the top. We mentioned before, this is a branding exercise.
Yeah.
You automatically pick up things like presented by an email name based on my user login,
Yeah.
name of the candidate and the last role. All this other information I would have put in on that cover sheet section, but we're just going to move through that today
Yeah.
to show you a bit of a highlight of what this could look like in a template.
Oh, and they're actually my logo colors.
Yeah,
so it's sort of continued through in. Yeah, nice.
You want to try and keep that flavor, and I love the use of colors because it just helps stand out. I can easily see, oh, that's the summary section, skills, employment, or you know what, where's the education? I can scroll all the way down to find that. Okay, education's at the bottom. That's what I was after because I really cared about the university that candidate went to, for example. But the idea is we structure it however you would like. You can see how I created those bullet points instead of the text that was there before. I've got that skills information. I've put that in grey boxes.
Yeah, it looks good.
Customizable template based on whatever the customer is after there. Is there anything that you wanted me to pick up on or have a look at there in the template?
No, I really like how it's pulled through. But and then my question you answered around being able to change that. But one question that kind of did spring to mind when I saw this. So you would take a template from, say, the marketing team or the hiring manager of a company, depending on, what it is. And then within that company, you'd be able to have kind of different templates for, say, a .NET developer or a network engineer. And that would just be available to all the consultants within that company.
So every user for one company, let's just say it's a starting recruitment account, you would have access to everything in this drop-down list.
Nice.
So if you're changing different roles now, typically you don't change maybe per role, maybe
it's just an example. Yeah.
That could change, or you're working on a government contract and you require a certain template, maybe 6 months on the track, we need to make some tweaks. We can work with your business to ensure that we're always keeping up to date and essentially keep doing that heavy lifting for you.
Yeah, nice. I love that. That's really well thought out and presented as well. I think that there's probably a lot to be said about presenting good looking CVs compared to just flinging them out. And I'm just thinking back to when I was at the big tech agency, how long I spent changing margins, changing Word documents. I would have absolutely loved something like this. So probably what I want to get a good understanding of as we, slowly wrap up is in terms of the core problem that you're solving, firstly for a recruitment consultant, is that just around time automation, or is there any other core elements that you think your product helps in terms of, maybe increasing billings, saving time and marketing? What would you say the core philosophy is of Allsorter?
Yeah, so you obviously mentioned that the time, that's obviously a key factor on which really most technology vendors are here to do, is to support and refine those processes. Outside of that, we mentioned that the branding and quality that comes from there. We've heard from our customers that actually now when they're sending candidates through to interview, they're actually getting a much higher interview rate. Typically, because this is easier to digest when you see that single structure. Or resumes all in that same outfit, which was part of the issue of where our CEO found at the beginning. He was getting resumes, so he was not the hiring manager. He was the he was the actual he was the hiring manager at the end of that process. And what he had was seeing different resumes, couldn't really understand them or make a gist of them. It was just complex. Remember, you're doing your own job and that's your focus, but now you're having to hire a new person and no one is a professional at that as a hiring manager. So how can we make that process easier? By keeping it really clear, keeping it the same.
Yeah.
You can easily compare those key skills. Actually, I just wanted someone who was a good communicator, or whatever those soft skills or professional skills were. I can really easily compare those and make a decision. Now, when I receive those ones from Starting Recruitment or from John, they're always really easy, those ones. But I get this other competitor of John's, it's just too much. I don't want to understand it. I'm actually not even going to read them to the same level. I'll go with these ones.
Of course.
And it's likely going to get someone through to that placement stage, resulting in a confirmed placement. So that's what we're ultimately trying to help you as a recruiter achieve, is more placements through making that process easier for your customers.
I think it also would definitely train, and it's probably the wrong word to use, but would train the hiring manager to look in certain aspects, to quickly read over your CVs, to trust who you're sending more and more as well when you're breaking it down like that. Yeah. I know how I present my candidates. He's always exactly the same to managers. So, always click it, enter password, blah, blah, blah. And I think that creates a sense of professionalism and moving away from that, spraying and praying, hoping something sticks and, everything else doesn't. So obviously that's great for the recruitment consultant. Where do you think your product adds value for a recruitment director who probably, hasn't touched a CV or set up an interview in a long time?
Yeah, I think if you ask any recruitment manager or leader or business owner at the moment, they're not involved in this.
Yeah.
If you ask them, do you remember doing resume formatting?
Nice.
Do you love it? No, never. It's one of the worst.
When I started, we used to send faxes. Like, that one.
Yeah, get a few of those old stories come through.
Yeah.
But it's a laborious and annoying process. We're working as a recruiter. You're working fast. You're supporting all the coffee shops. You're out and about. You're on the move. I don't want to sit down and go through this process and spend an hour shortlisting my candidates, because I need to be doing key activities that really drive, essentially allow me to achieve my KPIs. So what you're helping to do as a business leader, if you're rolling this out to a team as opposed to just for yourself, building almost morale, because you're saying, hey, I really care about the jobs that you love doing. Do more of those and less of this. So you're spending less time actually doing the formatting, more time in the coffee shops, on the phone, working with your candidates and your customers. So as a business leader, you can see that you're going to reduce time overall, which is where we start to look at what's the ROI. And as I mentioned before.
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point about caring about the people. I know a lot of agencies that I work with candidates love interviewing at and then working at, really put kind of consultant first. Let's remove the admin. How do I make their life easier to do the job aspects that they love? A lot of recruiters are extroverts, don't like the admin, don't like everyone hates formatting CVs, doing all of that stuff. So I feel that that's a really good way of looking at it. What's next for Allsorter?
I just want to add, before we jump on to what's next, because there's some interesting parts there, but with the way in which Allsorter can be implemented in a business is that there's a couple of different methods, because you can say, great, at the moment we're offshoring, the recruiters are spending all this time, or an admin person. Now, if there's the admin person doing this, there's typically a bottleneck, because they're doing
so many,
or however many, and you're going to be paying $40,000, $50,000 a year for their salary, and they're jumping in and out of this, and they're meant to be doing some operational and marketing tasks. Usually you have that sort of admin role. Again, with those, how can you make their job a little bit easier? And it's actually utilize that and say, well, rather than the admin person do that role, let's give this out to the recruiters, because they should be reading these resumes before they send them. Right? It's pretty much what you're doing in Allsorter, reading and making some changes. Free up a whole role of this admin person within your business. You can then really move them and excel them into operations or whatever part of the business you need to more support on from that admin role, and actually really utilize them. So you can really create a whole new role within your business. And again, we're taking away the admin to actually give more human roles and responses.
I love that.
It's a really great one for business as well.
That's a really good point that I hadn't thought of. A lot of the marketing managers or admins or rookies do get stuck with CV editing. It's not why they got into the industry a lot of the times. And it's kind of, then you've got to think of that. Is that person enjoying their work? Do they feel fulfilled by what they're doing? No one would. And the recruiter being able to automate this process, they're also going to know what key categories to put into each part of the resume, compared to someone who's, operations, who's doing a tech role and an infrastructure role and a construction role. And they're like, I don't know what's important. That's a really, really good point.
And that way they can still learn as a career if they're moving into recruitment. They still get to understand where this information is. They still can read these are the typical candidates that we're working on, or we're shortlisting. So they're still learning the trade, but just not spending the time on that. So yeah, really diverse in the way that the product can be implemented across different organizations. But to your point around what's really next for Allsorter and where we're going, I'm the first man, or boots on the ground, in Australia. We've been selling over here for, I think, a year and a half or so, but we're building some momentum. So I'm looking to grow the team here, which is fantastic. We've now got a customer success manager based in Dublin, but who's supporting us in this region, which is so important to have, because it's all well and good looking at the product and the shiny part of it, but how can we bring this through to actually...
Customer success is, I think, one of the most important roles. I know the few of the products that I use in the UK, I know I feel sorry for them doing the Australian time, but it's probably the difference between, tech that you go on to love because it's been easy. Any questions you have, you get answered, and tech that you use, but it's a bit annoying and you would never rant about it.
Yeah, our aim and objective is to delight our customers, and obviously as a SaaS product where you're paying monthly, we need to win your business month and month.
Yeah.
Where we're developing the product. I mentioned before about this preserve original feature, where you can do it at a click of the button. That's there at the moment, but it will be that you can click a button, redact all of the contact information automatically, so you're not going in Adobe and changing this around.
Nice.
Adobe license. Your logo is going to be there, and you put in your cover sheet information that's going to extract information from your ATS, all in the click of a button. So
really,
these are some.
Nice. That's quite
And then very excitingly, we've just, I think we're locking in. I know that we're locking in some seed funding, which will really help drive product development. As I said, this is the core of our product. We need to delight our customers with what we're doing here. We've been focusing a lot on the efficiencies and responsiveness of the system, which is looking really good. The look and feel is now available. And we're just going to continue to drive that and listen to our customers of what do they want next? What is the gap that we're missing? We will have the ability, at the moment we export the file, we will have the ability to review and have a quick view before we export it. So
nice. Little things like that, it's good. You're obviously
you're using it every single day. Where you're spending time or what you need. So we've been really successful in listening and changing along those routes.
Oh, I absolutely love that. Liam, we'll probably wrap it up there. What's the best way for people to reach out to you? LinkedIn or email, if they want to kind of schedule a demo or just have a chat around how they might be able to save some time for their consultants?
Yeah, I'd love to hear from anyone who's just intrigued by the tool. Obviously, applications, just want to hear of, does this work for your business? And you might be unsure of, is this right for me or not? And we can establish, is there room for us to play? Can we help you and actually add value and support you? If that's something you're interested in finding out in, drop me a note on LinkedIn, Liam Cosgrove. I'm sure you're going to pop all my links in there as well.
Yeah, spam it everywhere, don't worry.
L Cosgrove at allsorter.com is the email. But I'd love to hear from anyone who's interested in what we could do for them.
Easy, mate. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. The product's great. There's a lot that I didn't know about it. So I'm looking forward to seeing you kind of expand across the Australian market.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, John, for having me on. I'm glad that you got to learn a little bit more. I know you know a lot about every vendor out there, but there's always those little tweaks in there as well.
I usually know like the high-level overview of the pitch from the website, and it's always interesting to see more and more kind of what it's developed. But even I think when we spoke last time to now, it seems like there's been a lot of product development as well within the SaaS.
Yeah, it's an exciting space, and I really appreciate you having me on today and the opportunity to speak with your customer base as well.
Lovely, awesome.
Thank you, John.